You ever look at your life and think, man, how did I end up here? That was me on a Tuesday night, staring at the same wall I painted 4 years ago in a shade Shirley insisted was serene eggshell, but always looked like dentist office white to me. The TV was on, some true crime thing playing in the background, and Shirley was doing that thing she does, sitting 3 feet from me but 100 miles away. Eyes glued to her tablet. Not watching. Not reading. Just escaping. We'd been married 10 years. Lived in the suburbs. Quiet street. 2-car garage. I coached Little League for a year even though we didn't have kids. That kind of life. I was a logistics manager for a trucking company. One of those jobs where nothing exciting ever happens unless something's gone horribly wrong. The kind of job that buys you a mortgage and a solid spot in the reliable husband category. Shirley worked in HR at a mid-size accounting firm. She was always polished. Always had the answers. One of those people who didn't sweat, didn't crack, didn't ever forget to send a thank you card. When we met, I thought I was lucky. Now, I was just suspicious. It started small, like it always does. The missing warmth. The polite tone where affection used to be. The perfectly reasonable excuses that didn't sit right. Her schedule started shifting: early morning Pilates, late meetings, occasional wine nights with the girls. Which, fine, women need space too. But then there was the disconnect. The blank expressions when I'd mentioned something we'd talked about. The way she always seemed rehearsed. I'd ask simple questions like, how was work? And get a crisp, fine. Not tired, fine. Final, fine. Like she didn't want to open the door for more. One day, I asked if she wanted to go out to that Mexican place we both used to love. She blinked at me like I'd offered her dog food and said she had too much work. 5 minutes later, she was in the living room giggling into her phone with someone named Debbie from payroll. Sure, Debbie. Payroll's hilarious this time of year. I know how this sounds. Like a guy digging for drama. But trust me, I wasn't one of those guys. I didn't go snooping through her texts or sniffing around for perfume. I believed in giving people space. But space doesn't usually feel like a silent treatment with better lighting. Still, I told myself, relax. Don't be that guy. Maybe she's just stressed. Maybe this is a phase. But phases don't usually come with new passwords on shared devices and smiles that vanish when you walk into a room. I started noticing the little things. Her laptop, once a fixture on the kitchen counter, was now always zipped up in her tote like it contained state secrets. She started forgetting to mention things. Like the new assistant she'd hired. Or the weekend conference she was suddenly attending 2 towns over. The kicker? She used to be chatty. Loved recapping office drama like it was an episode of some Netflix soap. Now? Radio silence. I found out about her firm's holiday party from a photo one of her coworkers posted online. Shirley looked stunning in a red dress I'd never seen. The caption read, "Best night with the dream team." She never mentioned going. So yeah, that's when the curiosity started turning into concern. Not jealousy, not paranoia. Just that deep, hollow feeling in your chest when you know something's off and no one's saying it out loud. Now here's the part where I really started paying attention. One night, I came home from work and found the mail sitting on the counter, half opened, half ignored. And it was a postcard. One of those generic real estate flyers. Only this one had Shirley's handwriting on it. Just one line, scribbled next to a circled listing for a condo. Love the layout. Great light. No big deal, right? Except the mailing address on the flyer wasn't ours. And it wasn't work. I didn't say anything. Just tucked it in my sock drawer and kept observing. And then there was the coffee mug. Yeah, that sounds dumb. But we only have so many mugs. Her favorite is this ugly teal one from a conference in Phoenix. One morning, it wasn't there. I asked about it, casually. She said, "Oh, must be in the dishwasher." It wasn't. The next week? Still gone. I asked again, and she snapped, "Why do you care so much about a stupid mug?" I shrugged. "Because it was your favorite." She didn't answer. I started watching more closely, but still keeping it cool. Not prying. Just noting patterns. She started getting home at exactly 7:42 every Thursday. Like, on the dot. Not 7:40. Not 7:50. You don't hit that kind of timing without intention. One night, I joked, "What's with the swish train routine?" She smiled. "Maybe I'm just efficient." I nodded. But inside, I was filing that away. It wasn't just the timing. It was how she looked coming in. Hair too perfect for a long day. Makeup refreshed. Eyes distant. Not tired. Just not here. So what did I do? I didn't blow up. I didn't accuse. I didn't do the cliché thing. I started listening, not to her, to the silences. People forget silence has sound. And Shirley's was getting louder by the week. So yeah, I started planning. Not to catch her, but to catch the truth. She was too careful, too polished. But nobody is that perfect all the time. She was going to slip. And when she did, I'd be waiting. Not with anger, not with tears, but with something far better, clarity. And the cold comfort of knowing I wasn't crazy. Just right. I wasn't looking for proof anymore. I knew. Somewhere between the missing mug and the perfect 742 entrances, I'd crossed that invisible line from suspicion to certainty. I didn't need to catch Shirley in the act. I just needed to figure out what flavor of betrayal she'd gone with. Was it emotional? Physical? Did it have a Pinterest board? Shirley wasn't sloppy. That was the thing. Most people screw up because they get lazy. Not her. She was disciplined in a way that made even her mistakes look curated. If she was cheating like an accountant, clean, hidden, and tax-deductible. So I did what any married man with an ounce of self-respect would do. I started watching, not talking. You learn a lot when you shut up. Take Tuesdays, for example. That was team strategy night, according to her. I never questioned it because she always came back with printed slide decks, half-marked with yellow highlighter. It looked legit. Boring, but legit. One Tuesday, out of boredom, I glanced at her printed notes. They were left on the kitchen table while she showered. A list of objectives. Some half-drawn org charts. Except none of the names on the documents matched the ones I'd heard her mention in passing. No, Karen from internal. No, Michael the CFO. Just a bunch of first names I'd never heard. And the formatting? Off-brand. Shirley's company used those obnoxious branded footers, Eastfield Accounting Solutions Precision. Partnership. Progress. This stuff? It looked like it was made in Google Docs by someone with a caffeine addiction. So I asked, real casual, how was Karen tonight? She didn't even blink. Oh, she couldn't make it. Migraine. Weird. Karen was the one who always brought the wine. The next week, same thing, another Tuesday, another thick pile of papers. But this time, I caught the mistake. See, Shirley's printer's been acting up for months. Smears the left margin, always. I'd offered to fix it. She said she liked the vintage look. Whatever. But these new pages? Crisp. Clean. Professionally printed. And that's when it hit me. She wasn't printing at home anymore. That's when I started looking in the trash. Not hers. Mine. I work in logistics, remember? I know shipping labels like other guys know baseball stats. So when I noticed a torn FedEx overnight envelope in the recycling bin, with a familiar company name I couldn't quite place, it bugged me. I dug it out. It was addressed to Shirley, from a company called Clarion Tech Partners. Never heard of it, but I saved the label, took a photo, and tossed it back. Later that night, I Googled the company. A consulting firm. Out of town. Nothing to do with accounting. So I dug deeper. Clarion had a Meet the Team page. And there he was. Dean Morrissey. Tall. Smug. Fake smile that looked like it was carved by a marketing intern. VP of Operations. Based in our city as part of a regional client development initiative. I'd never heard his name, but suddenly, I couldn't stop seeing him. Shirley mentioned client dinners, strategic partners, project rollouts. Dean was the partner. The rollout. The dinner. But again, no cliches. No texts. No lipstick. No receipts. Just too many patterns that didn't match. Then came the printer. We don't have a home office, just a corner nook in the living room where Shirley keeps the printer, mail, and a bowl of stale mints. One night, I noticed the HP wasn't blinking. It always blinks when it's online. I asked, Wi-Fi acting up again? She didn't look up. Yeah, I think it disconnected. I'll fix it later. She didn't. 3 days go by. Still offline. So I checked the Wi-Fi admin page. Every device that's ever connected to our network is listed there. Our phones, the TV, the thermostat. But not the printer. I cross-referenced the last time she printed at home, 3 weeks ago. So where was she printing? I remembered the FedEx envelope. Clarion Tech Partners. They have a downtown office with a full business center. And guess what they offer? Document prep services. I checked the timestamps on her team night handouts. Tuesday evenings. Right when their business center is open late. I didn't need to follow her. I didn't need a GPS tracker. I needed a USB stick. So I made a fake deck. Nothing crazy. Just a PowerPoint file called Q3 Executive Summary with dummy slides filled with buzzwords. Then I named it something Shirley would recognize. strategy_presentation_final.ptx. I even saved it with an older date so it looked authentic. Next Tuesday morning, I slipped it into her laptop bag while she was in the shower. That night, she came home at, wait for it, 7:42 on the dot. Walked in, kissed me on the cheek like I was her landlord, and dropped her tote on the kitchen chair. I waited till she went to bed. Then I checked the bag. USB was gone. Gone. So I waited a couple of days. Then I called Clarion Tech's main line pretending to be a courier following up on a lost package. Gave them the address. The FedEx label. Asked to confirm the recipient picked up the envelope last week. The receptionist, young, cheery, overworked, said, "Oh yeah, that was signed by Dean. He gets a lot of those from his girlfriend's company. We send things back and forth all the time. Girlfriend's company. Not partner. Not associate. Girlfriend." I kept it cool. Said thanks. Hung up. Then I sat there, in my kitchen, staring at a bowl of stalemates. And it was in that moment I realized. I had found out. All of it. No screaming. No storming out. No phone checking or private detectives. Just a USB stick, a broken printer, and a receptionist with loose lips. The next day, I played dumb. Made her breakfast. Asked her how Karen was doing. She said Karen was going through a tough time. I bet. Then, something even weirder happened. Shirley offered to plan a weekend getaway for us. Just the two of us. Said she felt like we needed to reconnect. Sure, I said. Sounds great. Because now it was my turn. Not to confront. Not yet. But to prepare. You only get one shot at this kind of betrayal. One shot to play the fool, just long enough to twist the knife back with precision. And I wasn't wasting it. See, Shirley thought she was playing chess. But what she didn't know, I've been learning how to flip the whole damn board. You don't plan a confrontation like it's a rom-com. You plan it like you're setting a trap for a raccoon in your attic, quiet, calculated, and with a clear plan for what happens once it's caught. Shirley thought she was playing a long con. She had no clue I'd already done the math, and the numbers didn't lie. But I wasn't about to burst in with, "I know you're cheating," like some daytime soap character. That's what amateurs do. That's what guilty people prepare for. Instead, I decided to show her what it feels like when your little secret world collapses in slow motion, one thoughtful, painfully honest question at a time. It started small. "Hey, babe," I said that Friday morning while she was standing at the kitchen counter, buttering the one piece of toast she eats every morning like it's a ritual from some kind of secret society. "You know that strategy night you've got coming up Tuesday?" She didn't even glance at me. "Yeah. I was thinking I could swing by and drop off dinner. You're always so wiped after. Figured I could surprise you with something from that Thai place you like." Her hand paused mid-butter. "Oh," she said. "That's really sweet, Eric. But we usually order in. Besides, it's kind of chaotic when we're all brainstorming." Of course, I nodded. Didn't think about that. She smiled, but it was that tight smile she gives when someone compliments her haircut and she knows it looks terrible but she's trying to be polite. That was the first crack. I watched it spread all weekend. I asked more questions over the next few days. Nothing confrontational. Just husband stuff. "How's Dean doing?" "Who?" "Dean Morrissey. He's on your strategy project, right?" "Oh, yeah. He's not really involved anymore." "Sure he's not." Every night, I offered to do little things. Pick her up, grab coffee, bring by a charger she forgot. And every time, she had a reason I shouldn't. It became clear what she feared most wasn't getting caught. It was me showing up and seeing her actual life. By Tuesday, I was ready. I didn't show up with dinner. I didn't follow her. I didn't even text. Instead, I went in her closet. Shirley's a folder, not a hanger. Her sweaters are stacked tighter than a retail display. But I knew she had one drawer where she kept things that didn't quite fit anymore, aspirational outfits, she called them. I dug under the pile and found what I was looking for. A thin, worn blue folder labeled 2019. Personal. I'm not proud of it. But I opened it. Inside were receipts. Not for affairs, for something better. There was a real estate application with Dean's name on it. A lease for a unit downtown. Dated 6 weeks ago. Just before her new strategic planning schedule began. Shirley had helped him co-sign it. She had written "for delivery convenience" under the other occupants section. I sat on the edge of the bed and smiled. She wasn't just cheating. She was nesting. That night, I didn't confront her. I made her favorite dinner. She didn't eat much. Said she was tired. Needed an early night. I nodded and kissed her goodnight like nothing had changed. But the next morning, I called a locksmith. While she was out, I had the locks changed. Then I packed her things, neatly, respectfully, in labeled boxes. Clothes, shoes, tech gear, all boxed. I didn't throw anything. I didn't break a single plate. This wasn't a tantrum. It was a resignation letter to a marriage already over. At 6:43 p.m., right on schedule, I got a text from her, heading home. You want me to grab anything? I waited until 7:41. Then I turned on the porch light and sat by the door. At exactly 7:42, her car pulled up. She walked up the steps like it was just another Tuesday, smiling like I was a Labrador who didn't know any better. Until she saw the boxes. Her smile dropped. Eric, she said, voice flat. What's going on? You live with Dean now, right? She blinked. What? Come on, Shirley. You're smarter than that. I'm just giving you a head start. Most guys would have tossed her stuff in the yard. Her mouth opened like she was about to go into damage control mode. Then closed again. Let me explain. No need, I said. You signed a lease. I saw it. Your name. Your handwriting. You even labeled the box delivery convenience. That was my favorite part, honestly. Her face flushed. You went through my things? Yup. Right after I offered to bring you dinner, and you told me brainstorming was too chaotic for Thai food. That's when I figured, maybe my wife's got a different kind of schedule. I wasn't. Don't. Please don't insult both of us. She was silent. I didn't tell your mom, I added. Didn't tell your friends. Figured you'd enjoy the moment more if it wasn't immediately followed by a Facebook scandal. I didn't plan for this to happen. That made me laugh. Sure you did. You just didn't plan for me to find out. That's the only thing that went off script, right? She stepped forward. Can we at least talk inside? No. I changed the locks this morning. You're not on the mortgage, remember? Her eyes went wide. You locked me out? It's not your home anymore. It's Dean's girlfriend's storage unit. She started to cry. Not big sobs. Just little tremors. I didn't feel anything. No anger. No pity. Just done. I loved you, she whispered. I believe you. And I think you still love me. Just not enough to be honest. She reached for me. I stepped back. And I saw it. Not heartbreak. Not sadness. Panic. That's when I knew she hadn't thought it through. She'd built a whole second life without stopping to consider what it'd feel like to get what she asked for. And she hated it. I don't want this to end like this, she said. Well, I said, you should have started it differently. She stood there for a long time. Then she turned and walked back to her car. Her hands shaking. Her face pale. She didn't take the boxes. Just drove off. I sat back down on the steps. Closed the front door. And exhaled. Not because it was over. Because it was finally real. No yelling. No drama. Just the sound of a house, finally honest with itself. Next stop? Revenge. Not petty. Not violent. Nothing you'd see on a daytime show. Just clean, sharp, unforgettable clarity. Shirley thought I'd be angry. That I'd shout, lose it, make a scene. She was ready for that. Probably even hoped for it. It would have made her the victim. But see, the thing about people like Shirley? They don't handle dignity well. It unnerves them. Confuses them. And it sets the perfect stage for revenge that doesn't just sting, it echoes. I didn't want to destroy her. I wanted her to watch herself unravel, thread by thread, in real time. And the best part? I made her pull the threads herself. Step 1. Exposure. But not in the way you'd think. No public spectacle. No group chat bombshells. Just carefully orchestrated honesty. The kind that sticks. First, I made a list of all the shared accounts, subscriptions, and utilities under my name. It was longer than I expected. Shirley had always been more interested in appearances than details, so I did the unsexy stuff, paid the gas bill, set up the Wi-Fi, handled the insurance. Within 3 days, I had everything rerouted or shut down. Her Hulu login? Gone. Spotify family plan? Bye. Electricity at that charming downtown love nest she was co-signing for? Reassigned to her name. And the best part? The rent payment auto-transfer? Canceled. No warning. She found out on the 3rd of the month. I waited until 10:45 p.m. to answer the phone. That's when I knew she'd be fuming. Eric, the rent didn't go through. I yawned. Oh, that's weird. You had the auto-pay set up. I did. But I figured you and Dean might want to start building something on your own. No. Long pause. I'm not in a position to. To what? Afford your own lifestyle? Shirley, I was married to you for 10 years. You've had 2 credit cards you never paid off without help, a wardrobe that costs more than our mortgage, And you think a part-time side gig teaching management seminars is going to cover your downtown rent? Come on. You can't just leave me like this. You already did. Click. I didn't block her. That would have given her drama to feed on. Instead, I went quieter. Moved on like someone who'd already grieved. Next, I called her firm. Not to tattle. I'm not 12. I sent a pleasant email to the HR director, CCNG her, and using that delightfully vague subject line, clarification external consulting relationship. In it, I asked whether her role permitted her to enter into paid consulting work with Clarion Tech Partners while representing her current employer, Eastmont and Brown. I asked if there was a standard conflict of interest disclosure process, and if not, whether I should direct my inquiry to their legal counsel. The next day, I got a reply from an email I'd never seen, compliance@eastmontbrown.com. Thank you for your inquiry. This matter is now under internal review. Boom. Shirley called me at noon, furious. You went to my work? No. I asked a question. As your husband, I assumed you cleared that conflict of interest paperwork before you started moonlighting for Dane. Did you not? You're destroying me. I smiled. No. You already did that. I'm just adjusting the lighting so everyone can see it. She hung up. By now, Dean was probably getting a little twitchy himself, especially after he noticed the social media fallout. I didn't post anything, but I sure as hell started liking the right posts. Her coworkers, her friends, even a few of mine who'd always had a hunch something was off. You'd be amazed how far a few strategic likes go. I even made a new Instagram account under a fake name, generic enough to slip by unnoticed, and started following both of them. Never commented. Never liked. Just watched. And wouldn't you know it, within a week, Dean's profile went private. Guilty behavior is always camera shy. But the real masterpiece? That came after I sold the house. Yep, I sold it. We had no prenup, but we also had no kids, and I knew she wouldn't fight me for the house if I let her believe I was letting it go for emotional reasons. So I let it slip, through a mutual friend, that the house held too many memories. That I was ready to move on and leave that chapter behind. She reached out. I think we should talk about what happens next. Maybe split the proceeds. Oh, I already closed, I told her. It's done. You're not on the deed, remember? You're unbelievable. No, I'm just precise. You remember precision, right? It's the thing you traded for convenience. I took the profits and moved into a condo with zero nostalgia and great lighting. Then I sent her the final piece, a typed letter. Not an email, not a text, just a clean, folded letter in an envelope, delivered by courier. Inside, it read, Dear Shirley, you once told me the key to success was preparation. You prepared for everything, your outfits, your stories, even your betrayal. But the one thing you forgot to prepare for? Me, walking away without needing to shout. No rage, no begging, no tears, just a mirror. I hope you enjoy your new life. It's the one you chose. With clarity. Eric. I never heard back. But a week later, I got an anonymous envelope at my new place. No return address. Just one photo inside. Her, alone, sitting at that same condo I once saw on the Clarion website. Boxes around her. No furniture. Looking like a woman who just realized the man she thought was a fallback plan was actually the main event. I framed it. Put it in my closet. Because sometimes, revenge isn't about destruction. It's about leaving them with the exact life they built and making sure they know it was their blueprint, not yours. And when they sit in it long enough, they realize the view sucks. It took 3 months for Shirley to make contact again. 3 months of digital silence, real-world absence, and a few faint echoes through mutual acquaintances. She'd gone quiet, which in Shirley speak usually meant one thing, recalculating. I wasn't surprised. See, Shirley was never someone who learned lessons. She calculated. She pivoted. She tried new angles. The silence wasn't guilt, it was strategy. But she forgot something important. The Eric she cheated on wasn't the same Eric waiting on the other side. So when her name popped up on my phone one Wednesday afternoon, I wasn't even startled. Just mildly amused. Shirley, can we meet? I need to talk. It's not what you think. Ah, the classics. I left her on read. 3 days later, a knock at my door. Not pounding. Not frantic. Just persistent. I opened it. There she was. Standing with that same expression I'd seen the night she got caught. A weird mix of panic and poise, like someone trying to sell fire insurance in a house that already burned down. Eric, she said, half smiling. Can I come in? I looked behind her. No suitcase, no dramatic outfit. Just her, and that look people get when they've already tried everything else. No, I said, but I'll walk with you. We ended up at a little park near my place. Neutral ground. Nobody crying on the porch. No neighbors peeking through blinds. Just two ex-spouses sitting on a weather-warped bench like strangers at a bus stop. She spoke first. Of course. I've been thinking, she started, about everything. Dangerous pastime, I said. She ignored the jab. I made mistakes. More than one. Huh? A flicker of irritation crossed her face. I almost laughed. Shirley still expected conversations to follow a rhythm. Apology, regret, forgiveness. As if emotional damage came with a checklist. I wasn't happy, she continued. You were bored. She stiffened. That's not fair. No, Shirley. What's not fair is when one person signs up for honesty and the other starts a side project with a guy named Dean. I didn't mean to hurt you. I looked at her. That's the thing. You didn't care if you did. There's a difference. She blinked. That landed. Not hard, but deep. I lost everything, she said, almost whispering. Dean got transferred. He's gone. The apartment's too expensive. I'm back at my sister's. So this is a practical visit, I said. You're not here to talk. You're here to see if anything's salvageable. She looked away. I kept going. You didn't call when I moved. You didn't ask about your stuff. You waited until you had nothing left, and now suddenly I'm worth remembering. It's not like that. It's exactly like that. We sat in silence for a while. She fidgeted with her keys. I watched a kid chase a squirrel like it owed him money. I do miss you, she said finally. No, you miss the version of me that let things slide. The guy who kept the house warm while you rehearsed your lines. I was scared. Of what? Love? Responsibility? A mortgage? No, she said. Of settling. Of waking up in 20 years and realizing I lived someone else's life. Well, mission accomplished, I said. You destroyed that life for both of us. Now you get to live yours. Good news is, you're free. Bad news is, freedom doesn't come with Wi-Fi and wine nights. She winced. You don't have to be cruel. I'm not being cruel, I said calmly. Cruel would be taking you back. I didn't ask you to. You didn't have to. Your eyes did. That silenced her. She looked around, probably scanning for an emotional foothold. Something familiar. But there wasn't one. She was sitting next to a man who no longer owed her anything, not comfort, not closure, not even conversation. I thought we could still be something, she said. Why? Because what we had was real. I nodded slowly. It was. Right up until it wasn't. You burned it down. And now you're cold. She started crying. Finally. But I didn't comfort her. That chapter was closed. She wiped her face, still trying to salvage dignity. I was going to tell you, about him. I just didn't know how. You had time, I said. Months of it. You chose not to. That's not confusion. That's cowardice. She sniffed. So this is it? This was at the moment you let someone else into our life without telling me. This. I waved between us. This is the epilogue. I don't know how to fix this. You don't. You let it rot too long. You buried it under PowerPoints and fake excuses. You can't resurrect something you stopped watering a year ago. She stood up. I didn't expect you to hate me. I don't, I said. That would mean I still cared. She looked at me like she was searching for the man she once knew. But I wasn't there anymore. Goodbye, Shirley. She hesitated, like she wanted to say something else. Then she turned and walked away. No dramatic music. No swelling strings. Just the dull sound of shoes on gravel and the hum of people who hadn't lied to each other. I watched until she disappeared behind the trees. And for the first time in months, I realized the air felt clean again. Not just quiet. Clear. People talk about closure like it's some magic door that swings open once you cried enough, yelled enough, bled enough emotion into the carpet. But here's the truth. Closure is just the point where you stop caring if you get an apology. And once I reached that point, everything got real quiet. After Shirley walked away in that park, I didn't feel victorious. I didn't feel broken either. What I felt was clean. Like I'd finally shaken off the stale air of a house with too many unspoken things. She didn't reach out again after that day. No calls, no, I've been thinking texts, no attempt at revisionist history. Which, frankly, was the most respectful thing she'd done in a while. I heard bits and pieces about her from mutual friends. Word was, she bounced between gigs. Apparently had a brief thing with some guy in commercial real estate who ghosted her after 3 weeks. Guess karma shows up in a leased BMW now. Me? I got better. Slowly. quietly, not with some dramatic new romance or a 6-month retreat in the Rockies. I didn't find myself. I just started living like the version of me I'd always edited down to keep the peace. First thing I did was get rid of every single piece of furniture Shirley picked out. I listed it all on Facebook Marketplace, priced it just under what she would have, and made a game out of watching people haggle over a life she curated like an Instagram grid. The dining table? Gone in 10 minutes. The velvet accent chair she insisted tied the living room together? A college kid named Brett picked it up and strapped it to the roof of his Civic. Then I did something I'd never allowed myself to do in 10 years. I got a motorcycle. Yeah, I know. Midlife cliché. But it wasn't about chasing youth. It was about reclaiming space. My space. Shirley always hated the idea. Said it was too risky. What she meant was, it was too independent. It didn't fit the image. But guess what? Neither did I, apparently. Riding the thing down a back road at 50 miles an hour felt more honest than a decade of dinner parties with her coworkers ever did. I started volunteering on Saturdays, something I'd always said I'd do but never had time for, because back then, we had too many plans. I helped build houses with Habitat. I didn't tell anyone my story. Didn't need to. That's the thing about heartbreak. Once it's fully behind you, it doesn't need a narrator. One of the guys on the crew, Rick, asked me over lunch if I was divorced. I just nodded. Lucky escape, he said. You look like someone who got out of a hostage situation with your brain still intact. I laughed harder than I had in weeks. And maybe that's the thing. That slow, creeping realization that you're still you. You didn't disappear. You didn't become less because someone else didn't know how to treat you right. Shirley didn't break me. She exposed the cracks I'd been ignoring. There was a point, maybe 2 months after the park, when I ran into her sister, Janine, at the hardware store. I was buying paint. She was buying nails, or something equally domestic. Oh, she said, Eric. Hey. I nodded. Janine. She fiddled with the edge of her jacket like she didn't want to say what she was about to say. She's not doing great. I didn't reply. She talks about you. A lot. Still nothing. She says she messed everything up. She did. She thought maybe you'd eventually. I cut her off. She thought wrong. Janine sighed. You were good to her. I was good to myself. Finally. She blinked at that. Then gave me a sad little smile and said goodbye. That night, I stood in my kitchen, the same kitchen that once held a woman who checked out months before she left, and realized I didn't feel haunted by it anymore. The room didn't whisper, you were betrayed, every time I brewed coffee. It was just a room again. Clean counters. New mugs. No ghosts. By month 5, people had stopped asking if I was okay. I wasn't just okay. I was better than before. I started dating. Nothing serious. Nothing wild. Just conversations that didn't require decoding. A laugh here. A drink there. I met one woman, Natalie, who asked me on the second date what I learned from my marriage ending. I didn't miss a beat. Never confuse consistency for loyalty, I said. Someone showing up every day doesn't mean they're showing up for you. She raised her glass. That's dark. It's true. She smiled. Also sounds like you're ready. I am. The last time I saw Shirley, I didn't speak to her. It was at a grocery store. I was in the self-checkout lane buying paper towels and almond milk. She was 3 lanes over with a half-empty cart and a look I couldn't quite place. Not regret. Not shame. Just distance. She looked older. Not in a cruel way. Just worn down by her own choices. I nodded once, slow. She saw me. She didn't nod back. And that, weirdly, was perfect. There's a power in being the one who doesn't need to speak. The one who doesn't chase, doesn't ask, doesn't need to rewrite the story. I already knew how it ended. She made her choice. I made mine. And now? I sleep better. I laugh quicker. I say what I mean, even if it makes the room uncomfortable. Because if there's one thing I've learned, really learned, it's this. Sometimes the greatest revenge isn't a grand gesture or public humiliation. It's peace. The kind you earn by walking through hell and not dragging the fire with you. So yeah, the credits rolled. But I stayed seated. And when the lights came back on, I walked out of that theater alone, smiling, because I finally got to write my own sequel. And this time, no rewrites, no compromises, no Shirley, just me. Better, smarter, free. Subscribe to the channel